Hello everybody, and welcome to another video from Gun Gamers. Today I'm joined by Lutz wearing one of my t-shirts.
Very nice.
And we actually are going to be talking about a subject you suggested.
Yes, we're going to be talking about what brought us from like where everyone starts in like backyard airsoft up to whatever, let's say professional level MilSim.
Or at least organized, produced games.
Right. Which is going to, of course, be, we're going to get into kind of the transition through, right?
Yeah.
The different levels of those organizations.
And the different experiences and all the different types of games. Yeah, don't spill that, please.
No. All right, let's get into it. Do you want to start with where we started?
Yeah, so where we started, I mean, you started even more disorganized than I probably did, to be honest, because you were in like the real halcyon days.
Yeah, the real like start for me. What first time I even learned about airsoft. Like we've talked in videos before about like, oh, I used to do backyard. Like the first thing that got me into it was 2003, 2002. So like my sophomore, junior year of high school. Mm-hmm. Went to a Halloween party, and this was fairly close to the release of the original Matrix. That gives you an idea of how long ago this was.
Oh my god, you're old.
It was like 3 years after. One of the guys was dressed as Neo for Halloween. He had a, like, I don't even know what brand, Springer sort of pseudo 226. And we're like, whoa. Everyone goes out back. We start setting up stuff to shoot. We're like, this is amazing. And Jim and I looked in each other's eyes and we're like, this is what we're going to do now. And for the last 18 years, this is what we're going to do now. So like I started there, and it was like a little arms race between our group of friends then of like, we all got spring pistols. And then Jim, being Jim, went out and got a gas pistol. So then slowly everyone got gas pistols. And he got an AEG, and then slowly everyone got AEGs. And then we started going to, like, organized games. But, like, that's where we started. It was, like, backyard.
That's not that far off, probably, from how I started. I started with my brother just from eBay. I mean, I was in middle school, and my brother was also, like, just a little bit older than me. His friends were starting to get access to the internet. They bought on eBay just a bunch of, like, crappy airsoft guns back when you could just get, like, Springers for $10 for a shotgun and 2 pistols. And I just saw it, and I was super into tactical shooters. I really liked Rainbow Six. I mean, I was not that old. I was probably 12 years old, and I was super into like Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. I think that was out at that point.
I think so.
One of the Ghost Recon 2, I think, was the first one I played. So if that gives you like those types of games.
A minute ago. And
I see this, I'm like, this is the coolest, craziest thing ever. And so, of course, I want one. So then I get one, and it's this neon fire G36C. I saw that it was full auto, so I bought one of those. And then I just would plink in the backyard, but I would never go out and play in public because, you know, I was cautious enough where my parents were strict enough where they're like, you're not bringing this out in public. And then I got into having games. Actually, I've pretty much been hosting games for as long as I've been playing. When I went to high school, I found some other people who had gotten into, like, airsoft guns. They talked to me, and that got them interested in buying them. And then I actually started helping to put together games at a friend of mine who owned some property outside of town. We would just go and play in his backyard. We like dug trenches and built bunkers. We were all watching Scout the Doggy by this point on YouTube. So we were insisting on, hey, in all the videos, they're all wearing safety goggles, and all the videos from everybody say to wear real safety glasses. So we actually were like semi-organized from the get-go because we were on private property. We had permission to be there. No one was going to like stumble upon us, and we were wearing safety equipment.
Yeah, you guys started out smarter than I did. Yeah. So that's where we all started, right? Backyard to some degree. When I started getting like a team going, which is what kind of led towards bigger games, was I got scouted by basically me and Jim and Coulter by a guy at RIT where we were going to college, and met up for him at lunch one day out there. He's like, hey, I've got this team. You guys want to start like practicing with us and all that? Man, yeah, heavy nerd days. Having team practices and stuff.
Oh my god!
Now our team practices. We should drink and
You're watching
film this video.
You're watching team practice now.
Yeah. But like once we had that group, there wasn't I felt like there wasn't a good forum to have. Maybe it was age, or maybe it was the years that it was taking place. I don't know if it's how the hobby's developed or how old we are. But like making a group like this, I don't feel would have happened as naturally then. Like you had to have a team to build a group.
That's the thing is, it really was like a clique of teams, but to a certain extent, it really is still that in a lot of respects. I think social media helped people to expand their net, but I also think more organized games, because, I bought my first airsoft gun when I was fucking 12 years old or 13 years old in 2004, 2005, but I didn't actually start playing, I would say, until like 2007 with the high school games.
Right.
And in 2007... you had some forums, and you had like the peak of MilSim in North America at the time was Operation Irene with Lion Claws.
Yeah.
And those games were once a year, anywhere within a 12-hour drive of you if you were lucky.
Which if you're 17, 18, 19, 20, getting 12 hours away isn't happening for most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not. Now our normal's like, guys, like, George is only 21 hours of a drive. Like, we could do that.
And that's the other thing, too, is the whole time I was getting into airsoft, I was in middle school when I was plinking, high school when I was running games locally, or, playing or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then it was college by the time I got into, like, going to bigger games. I didn't go to Hunter's Creek, which is, like, the hub of old Western New York airsoft. I didn't go there till, like, 2009 or 2010.
Yeah.
So... I had a lot of years of not really being connected to the organized scene. Whereas, again, now with social media, you're getting funneled right toward companies that produce events.
That's true.
Half the time you watch the most popular videos in the hobby.
That's true. Yeah, there just wasn't as much out there because social media just wasn't as big of a thing. It was still kind of crawling out of an asshole.
I mean, it was in its infancy.
Yeah. So it was hard to find things outside your sphere. Like, I remember joining, like, other forums for, like, Airsoft Ohio or, like, Pennsylvania ones just to, like, find people in nearby states that might have something. Because if you're just in your echo chamber of Western New York, you're not going to find out about national games because no one would post up about them. They'd just be like, oh, this is the game we're running in Buffalo. This is the one we're running in some southern tier crap place. All right, so we went from backyard, and then we went and we started at...
like Hunter's Creek games.
Local games, right? Yeah.
Because eventually you do find the local forums. And one of the things that actually held me back from starting in Winyell, why I didn't go to organized games before I was 18, remember when they had that, like, course that minors were supposed to go through
to be
able to play? When I was... up until I was 18, I was like, really? I gotta do this fucking course before I can even go to a game? Like, I don't have time for that. I have football practice. What the fuck?
I can't remember everything about it, but yeah, I think it was it multi-day or just like a weekend you had to go out? And you were...
it was just a weekend day.
And you're supposed to learn, like, some, like, safety and gun safety. Like, it was good intentioned, but, like, such an inconvenience. Because Kyle has to own property in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah, and it was like an hour away from where I live. And when you're fucking 16 or 17 and you don't have a car, it's like, all right, well, guess I'm fucked.
Yeah, Mom, Dad, can you drive me an hour out into the woods so I can pay to have the privilege to pay to go to a different game?
Yeah, that's really what it was. It was not a good sell.
Hard sell.
Yeah, hence why I just ran games on my buddy's property. Yeah. But regardless.
But yeah, no, those games, like, they started to build. It hit a crescendo. I cannot remember what year it was now. Might still be on the YouTubes if you look it up. But we had a guy who was kind of up in the... I mean, there was no real leadership, but he was one of the, like, in guys, right, for that group. And he was an Army recruiter. And he was able to persuade the New York National Guard to be like, hey... I think I can recruit some of these schlub teens if we bring some cool stuff out. And so they had a game where he literally had them fly in a Huey and land it in the middle of a field. Yep. And they brought out a few Humvees, which ill-fated because that land is not suitable for any vehicle.
No, it is not.
It's just ravines.
Well, and there were the Ransomville games back
Yeah.
in the day too, which I never made.
But
Sadly.
yeah, so like that, to me, that was like the pinnacle of Weinl attendance was when they flew into Huey. And I think we had like 150 people show up. And we were like, that's 1 million people.
That's a massive game, bro.
Which, I mean, if you think about it, for like a local game in Western-ass New York, that's actually pretty good turnout.
I mean, yeah,
It's not bad.
as good as the turnout I've ever gotten for
Yeah.
games out here. I think we usually average anywhere from 60 to 90.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, those kind of built up. And then, as things do, I'm sure, because you got in by this point, if you'll remember, all the drama started kicking up.
That's where I
it just started.
kind of came in, actually.
Yeah.
The first things I got to witness were all that, and I was like, God damn it.
Everyone had their own teams, and then the teams started having drama with other teams. And because we live in New York, it's cold and unplayable, really.
Yeah,
in the
so
winter.
people would get real salty during the winter.
We'd literally call it like the winter shit fit, and everyone
Yep.
would just lose it for 6 months. The forums would blow up. They're like, we're closing this thread, we're closing until spring, and then everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, hey, we're friends again. And so like it lasted a few years, kind of at that level, and then everyone just kind of split off. And when that started splitting off is when we started looking for like national games, right?
Yep.
So that's when.
That was when I started going to Lion Claws.
Same with me. I think we found out that we went to the same Lion Claws game.
But we didn't know each other at
Didn't
that
know
point.
each other.
It was the one in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Lightning Strike.
Me and Lightning Strike. If you look at the first pack,
Yeah,
they
well,
printed.
you know.
Put an E in it.
What was that,
that-
2012?
think
That
so.
game was? Yeah.
I had recently gotten I had a few years in for my EMT, and I had a buddy that was an EMT, and so we'd kind of worked our way in with people and all that to be the two medics for the game. And so we were there half playing, half working for children who don't understand the difference between Airsoft and Call of Duty. Literally, what I told to the first kid I had to treat that day, they start the game, and like Lion Claws games a lot of times are just like, go, right? And everyone starts sprinting. This kid made it 100 feet and tried to like, what do they call it in the game when you like vault? He tried to vault over like this concrete barrier and just
And he should
biffed
not have
it
been vaulting.
face first.
Oh.
Almost knocked himself out. They drive him up in a Humvee and he's just white. He's like, oh, it hurt. I'm like, hey man, so like you can't just hit A to vault. Like you probably should have done that. Like that was our day. But yeah, we were at it. Eric was at it, and that was like kind of my foray into it, which
Yeah, that was my start of games like that.
weird that my foray into it was as a paid staff, but like here we are.
Well, and then that same year was also where I learned that I really like roleplay games, because that was when Frank hosted Demon Seed at the Warzone, which was the proto-Omega 6 years before the first Omega.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I kind of learned about the roleplay games when Kyle and Haggerty would do a couple that were a little roleplay heavier out at his property.
Yeah. The Bitter
ones.
Harvest series. Yeah.
Bitter Harvest was a little later, but yeah. Oh no, Bitter Harvest was old. That's right.
Yeah, that was a long-running series.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those were good. And I the one where the helicopter came in, they let the pilot just kind of like walk around and observe all the nonsense we were doing. Dude actually came over to me very concerned because they had like civilian group, and they had like these foam blocks they'd painted.
Okay.
So they look kind of like bricks, and so sometimes they'd use them as weapons. One whipped one, and I literally let it pretend like it like knocked out my leg, and I rolled down the hill, and I'm yelling, and this guy comes running and was like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Sold it." Yeah, I'm like, ha, medevac pilot thinks I'm actually injured. Must be pretty good.
Oh, yeah. But that's like where you start off, as you get into that level. And then, I mean, we went to Lion Claws games for a while before we actually ran into Joe and Garrett at
right. Red Storm?
Yes, Red Storm East at the Scranton Lace Factory, where no one should have been playing.
Oh, this is where the dating started, where our courtship of teams began.
Yes, that's where we ran into each other.
My team, which had Garrett and Joe on it, was Executive Outcomes.
Yep.
which had gone through a very tumultuous time where I had taken over as the leader of it, as our former leader had gone on to be an adult. Reasonable.
What a coward.
And this one was still LulzSoft.
Yep. Yeah, we were LulzSoft from 2012 until... Was it late 2011, I think, actually? Yeah. Late 2011 until 2015, we started Gun Gamers. And
you guys met up at, what, the Scranton Lace Factory?
Yep, in everyone was July of 2015.
Dying in the building. Sweet. Is that the one that Joe fell down an elevator shaft?
That is the one where Joe fell down an elevator shaft.
What a great time. Yeah, and they all met up and they're like, oh shit, we're all from like the same area. This is sweet.
We know like a ton of the same people, but I still think that at some point we ran into each other and I didn't recognize you because I'm terrible with names and faces. Yeah. You didn't recognize me because I was 120 pounds heavier.
Yes, I'm positive I've run into you at plenty of games up at Kyle's property.
Yeah, I guarantee we ran into each other and I'm just too stupid to remember you and I was also too fat for you to remember me.
Correct. If you really think about it, it's Kyle's fault for not bringing the team together earlier.
You know...
He was the connecting factor, right?
He was.
What a dick.
He was. And he is a real dick. I did just go into business with him, but god damn it, he's a real dick.
We mentioned this the other day. We brought it up. Hashtag fuck Kyle.
Fuck Kyle.
Bringing it back. Yeah, so anyway, so then, yeah.
But then you guys were the first to go to MilSim West.
Yep, I had found it. So this is actually, we're right at the point where this is what brought up this video. I almost made a terrible decision in my life. I was searching for more. I wanted more like, I've always been very military enthusiast without going into my boring history of my life. I never actually served, but I've always been super interested. I mean, I've hung out with Coulter and Jim for fucking ever. So like, that's just like my mindset, right? And I was like, Airsoft's great, love Airsoft. I need something a little more, though. I want something a little more. I'm searching, and I find Go Ruck. And I was like, this is it. This is the answer. I was like, it looks a little challenging. I get to wear a ruck, and I get to have bro vets yell at me. That sounds cool. And I'd been playing with the idea at that point for like a minute. In a couple months, I was like, guys, maybe not. We'd considered it, hadn't put any money into it. And then we found MilSim West, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This one has guns. We should try this one. So I found it, and I sold it to Jim, Coulter, and Trey, who we haven't seen in forever. Trey, come back, man.
We miss you.
Yeah, come on. So we went out to Raid on Rostov, which took place in what I like to call Satan's asshole, which is known as South Carolina, in July. It was either June or July. It was hot as fuck. I'm from the Northeast, right? It's right now, it is April 20th.
Yes.
2 days ago, it was 35 degrees.
420.
And fucking snowing when I walked to my car after work.
It was still like 48 today.
Yeah, like it's... This is Western New York.
Yeah, it's great.
It's July down there. I go to sleep on Friday night. It is still 95. I'm like, the sun's down, right? I don't. So, like, we ashamedly feel very bad about it still now. Did not complete that game. They had to call a pause on the game on Saturday night because there was some real fucked weather coming. And they're like, yeah, I don't know, I'm hearing like tornado warnings and shit. And we're all like, cool, shelter in place.
I mean, the most recent Caspian assault had that as well.
We went inside. They've got like a roll-up like door for this place that was obviously like trains used to go into. It's like tracks. But this roll-up door is 20 feet high and off the stupid rollers. And so when the wind hits, it's this giant sheet metal door flapping in the wind. We're like, we're going to die here. But like after we sat for like 2 hours on a game delay, everyone's chafing and exhaustion had set in. And we're like, I don't think I can do this. Coulter had some surgery recently and showed up to this game.
Coulter's a madman. Yeah. He doesn't count.
I had chafing to the point that I think I lost an inch of skin. Trey just didn't know where he was anymore. And Jim was doing great as a platoon leader. So we begrudgingly dragged Jim's ass out of there and headed home early. But a lot of hard lessons learned. And lucky for everyone else that got it on easy mode, we came back with all this knowledge and we're like, here's what you don't do next time.
Yeah, I was much better prepared for Caspian Gap than you guys were for Rostov, purely based on the fact that you guys were able to direct me on what it was like and what I should expect.
Yeah.
I still did a bad job managing myself, as we've gone into before, but, that was lessons learned, because honestly, I had not done that much, intense camping or pack hiking to that point. I was a nerdier kid. I was not into a lot of that stuff.
Even if you have, besides guys who have been deployed infantry, I don't see a lot of of course. Thank you. I don't see a lot of guys come in for their first MilSim West and just nail it on every point, right? Even those guys, they come in and their AEG takes a shit and they have no idea what to do with it. So everyone has something to learn their first game. And if they tell you they don't, they're a lying sack of shit, and they probably washed out, and they're pretending they didn't. I've backpacked. I was an Eagle Scout. I've backpacked. I've hiked. I've camped. I've been around guns. I've played Airsoft. I've been to national games. I was technically staff at national games. So I'm like, I've got this. Bro, I did not have it. When you put it all together, it's different. Now, 10 in, being a BB vet, sweet. It's fine. I can put my gear together a week before, make sure I have everything, and it's squared away. It's not even an issue. The first game, I had a printed list of everything I needed, and I checked it off one by one as I put it in my pack, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to forget something. I need the red line items. Yeah.
Well, and as you learn more, you realize how little you actually need.
Yeah.
Because, my last game, I used an assault pack as my ruck.
Yeah.
And I had everything else distributed in my H harness, and I did 5 miles of movement under ruck the first night.
Did I ever tell you when Jim showed up to his first MilSim West with?
No.
Everyone else has a ruck, right? The wrong ruck, but we all had rucks. Jim shows up with, what is it? I don't know which brand it was, but the equivalent of these NC Star Vism, shitty 3-day assault packs that are only that, right? 8 inches by 10 inches by that, right? You know the exact one I'm talking about?
Exactly what you're talking about.
He has one of those, and he just packs this bitch full of his smallest, lightest, kit, an extra set of clothes that's very simple, and fuckloads of Chef Boyardee. And that's all he had. And Jim's like, I got cans and I got a can opener.
Well, that's Jim. Jim knows what he needs.
Jim did better than anyone else there. I don't know how this man survives. Jim's the guy that showed up to Balcar Ridge, one of the wettest games I've ever played, and gets out of the car and just starts swearing. And I'm like, what happened? He goes, I fucking left my boots in New York. All right. Made it through with my definitely not waterproof sneakers. He ran them the whole game. They're not even his sneakers. They're not even the right size. And Jim's like,
the man's just built different. The man is built different.
What a magical.
You got to go against him this summer.
Yeah. I'm going to kill him. I've known Jim since 2nd grade. We're now going to fight on opposite factions. Coming for you. But yeah, so the evolution of what we go to, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we've reached the pinnacle of Airsoft at MilSim West, right? But we still go down and we'll do AMS games.
Yeah.
I still do local games. Sunday.
Because I view the games as different genres to an extent.
Yeah.
I would definitely say MilSim West is the most hardcore military simulation and probably the most challenging overall. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean other things aren't fun.
Correct. And they're fun for different reasons.
Yeah.
I don't put them, they are all technically Airsoft, but I don't call them all Airsoft when I'm thinking of it like that, right? I've got MilSim West, and I've got AMS, and then when I've described to people that have never been, I'm like, oh, we're going to go to Bad Blood. They're like, what is it? I'm like, it's shitball. It's basically, and I'm bringing a guy who has only gone to a few games and stuff. I go, buddy, we're going to just camp out, and it's basically tailgating, and then there's also some Airsoft there. He's like, all right.
Yeah.
But like that's gonna be fun. But that's because we get to all hang out and shoot the shit, and there's no real responsibility, which makes it for people like us that are constantly running or staffing or leadership. To just show the fuck up and not care.
And just bring every machine gun we own and open fire.
We gotta talk about it, by the way. I gotta borrow a machine gun.
Okay, which one do you want?
I'll take the 249.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
So you guys are bad blood.
But it's funny that you mentioned that, though, is we are always, the whole time we've been involved, we've been doing staff stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I started off by helping to run the games that we had on my buddy's property that were just like kids from my high school. And I would come up with game design scenarios and I would volunteer to be the hostage if we needed role players. Like, I've always been interested in that level of game design. I wanted to make video games when I was a kid. And I've always been like, one of my dreams is to write a novel, all that fucking bullshit. But then you were doing EMT stuff at a lot of games. And you also did leadership and like a lot of responsibility at Kyle's games back in the day.
Yep.
I did leadership at some of Kyle's games back in the day. Then Kyle brought me on and had me help staff. Then my first game I fully ran was on Kyle's property with him the year I graduated from college.
Yeah, our group's really interesting. So anyway, we came up from backyard shooting each other where people should definitely be calling the cops on us. You know what? Shout out to this one dude. I cannot remember the name of his video, but you need to link a video.
Is it the one
the comedian who's talking about when he first played it?
Yeah, and it's the like crayon drawings. Yes, okay.
Dude's literally like the same exact age as I am and lived very similar life to me as a child.
Are you sure it's not just like Jim in disguise?
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, check the description here.
Yeah, I know exactly what video you're talking about. I will 100% put it in the description.
It's where we all started, right? And then we moved up and we went through all these different national games, and now MSW and leadership, where being absolutely fucking stupid, I pay money to have to herd cats.
Yeah, or I pay money to go to Omega games and LARP super hard, which there's another one coming this fall, dude. They're fucking...
I know.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's... I guess that was the story.
That was the story.
That was quite a ramble. Hopefully...
Okay, wait. I need in comments, please put if you enjoy our ramble discussions or don't, because every video I'm in is a ramble video, and they generally do okay. I need to know.
That's true. I feel like people treat it like the Joe Rogan podcast.
Just let it play in the background.
Yeah, we just say dumb shit while we're way too inebriated, and everyone else is like, "Wow, they're so smart."
Jesus.
Anyway, this has been a video from Gun Gamers. We hope you've enjoyed watching it as much as we've enjoyed making it. And if you would like to support the channel in the best way you currently can, buy a ticket and come play with us. Tickets to Gun Gamers Productions Overture on July 30th at Skirmish Paintball in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania are now available in the description. Thank you for watching. Cheers. Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.